Hello, I'm Julia Barnacle, and I'd like to encourage you to do something different for 30 days and change your life. And it doesn't need to be something big. It can be just the tiniest change, and it will change your life. And I know you're thinking, well, how can that be? But the thing is, if you do something different, then you're doing something you weren't doing before. So therefore, logically, you've changed your life. And okay, so it might just be in a tiny way, but it's cumulative. Let me explain what I mean. Most of us make the mistake of thinking that in order to change our lives, we have to do something big. We have to win the lottery, for example. Okay, so that's something that happens to us rather than us doing something, but or we have to emigrate, or we have to get that fantastic new job, or we have to get married, or we have to get divorced, and all of these are huge life changes. And yes, of course, any one of those will change your life dramatically. But the problem is that because they're such big changes, and we can't keep on getting married or divorced or getting new jobs or emigrating or whatever, we get stuck. And also, if we want to make bigger changes, like a lot of people I know would like to be spending more time being creative, for example. But there's a big kind of barrier to doing that because they're afraid that either they won't be any good or they won't be able to make any money at it or whatever. So trying to make a big change, trying to, for example, pack in your job and go off and be an artist, it's a huge change. And because it's a huge change, I can almost guarantee that you won't do it. And the reason for that is this. There's a part of the brain which some people refer to as the lizard brain, which I think is quite cute. And it's a really ancient part of the brain, which its sole purpose really is to protect you from harm. Okay, so it's the part of the brain that sets off the fight or flight reflexes, the racing heart and the adrenaline pumping through your muscles. But the problem is that it hasn't really moved with the times. So it's there really to protect you from real, genuine danger, like a saber-toothed tiger, for example, which I don't know about you, but I don't often come across those nowadays. So what happens if you encounter something new, or if you start trying to do something new, this lizard brain kind of goes rummaging through the database to see, have we come across this before? And if it finds something, then it says, okay, was it friendly or was it dangerous? And then it acts accordingly. But if it doesn't find something in the database, and this is the point, if it doesn't find something in the database, then it will assume it could be dangerous. So any time you try to do something new, what happens, it's a bit like, those movies where somebody's about to steal some precious artifact from a museum, and they're just about to lift the artifact off the pressure plate, and then suddenly all the alarms go off, and then you get steel doors, steel shutters coming down. Well, that's a bit like what happens in your brain. When you try to do something new, and your lizard brain is thinking, oh no, this could be dangerous, stop. So how do you get around of this? Well, let me tell you. It's very easy, actually. Because if you only do a little bit of change, you can kind of sneak in under the radar. So your lizard brain doesn't really recognize it as a threat. So that means that you can get on with it. And okay, you might think, well, yeah, big deal, but that's not going to change my life. But as I say, it's cumulative. So if you do a little change, and then do another little change, or maybe next time you just change a bit more. So gradually over time, you're making little changes to your life. And as I say, any change to your life is changing your life. And over time, if you can change slightly bigger things, you're actually training your brain to not kind of go into panic mode every time you try to do something different. It's a bit like, imagine you decided you want to run a marathon next year. So you start training for it. On day one of your training, you don't run 26 miles. Well, maybe you do, but it would probably kill you. So on day one, you probably run a mile, or half a mile, or a quarter of a mile, or just down your garden path. And then gradually you'll run a bit more the next time, a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, until you get up to 26 miles. So you're doing exactly the same thing by making slight changes, very small changes in your life. That you're kind of, imagine, this big life change that you want is like running a marathon. So you're in training for it. And the thing is, if you're running a marathon, or if you're training for a marathon rather, if you were to start off by doing 5 miles, if you've never run before, then what's going to happen is you're going to either injure yourself, or at the very least, you're going to get really aching muscles. And that's going to mean that you either don't feel like training the next day, or you're just not capable of training the next day, so you have to take a day off, and then you break the cycle. So it's better, little and often, as people always say, it's better to do a little bit every day and gradually build it up. So the same with 30 days of difference, sort of doing something small that's different for 30 days, getting into the habit of doing that. And then after you've done it for 30 days, you can then choose something else, or build on what you've done, do just a little bit more different, and then the following 30 days do a little bit more different. And then over time, you'll suddenly realise, actually, your life has completely changed. I hope you found that useful, and if you'd like to join a group of us who are going to be doing something different for 30 days and changing their life, then come over to www.30daysofdifferent.com and sign up for the programme, which lasts for 30 days, and change your life. I hope to see you very soon. Bye.